justice will be brought before man. Now you shall have to explain your whole lifespan. What you did in the open and what you concealed. From big to small shall today be revealed.
Bismillah, alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah, wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa man wala. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. My dear brothers and sisters, welcome to another episode in our series on the journey to the afterlife. We discussed previously the journey of the soul after death, and we spoke about the day of resurrection, and we spoke about the beginnings of hellfire, the introduction to hellfire, and some of the deeds that lead to the hellfire, some of the sins that lead to the hellfire. And today, inshallah ta'ala, we want to pause for a moment about the topic of the hellfire and focus on the issue of the one trying to lead you to the hellfire. And that is shaitan himself. Wal-'iyadu billah. And so we want to go back to the origins, to the beginning of how this started. Why does shaitan want to lead you to the hellfire? And what can you do about it? And what are some of the traps of shaitan? So we're going to go back to the very beginning so that we'll understand this enemy of ours. This enemy that is trying to take you and I astray in every way possible. And so he tries to pull you astray from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He tries to plot and scheme against you. Plot and plan, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's plot is much greater. His plans are much greater. And Allah wants you to know. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us about these plots and plans throughout the Qur'an. And we hear about them throughout the sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Now my dear brothers and sisters, if you know that someone is coming to your home to harm you, an enemy is coming to you, would you not prepare if you had advanced warning? Absolutely. Nobody would say, okay, my enemy can take advantage of me and I will not prepare. They will take me by surprise. Rather, you will prepare for the enemy in any way possible, depending on who the enemy is. So, we know that shaitan is trying to take us astray. We know that he's our enemy. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us throughout the Qur'an, إِنَّ الشَّيْطَانَ لَكُمْ عَدُوٌ فَاتَّخِذُوهُ عَدُوًا. Take him as an enemy, because he is an enemy to you. He wants to take you astray. So in the very beginning, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala raised the status of Iblis, the devil. He raised his status to the rank of the angels, to the rank of the malaika. Why is that? Some of the scholars said, including Ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah, that Iblis was absolutely not from the angels. There's no difference of opinion about this. However, from his behavior and his obedience to Allah, his worship of Allah, he was from the angels, meaning he was at their level, at their rank. That's how great he was. So when it came to obeying Allah and his worship of Allah, he was like the angels. That is a very high status. For the longest of times, perhaps, Allahu A'lam, maybe thousands upon thousands of years, all that was here were the jinn. There were no human beings at that time. So only the jinn were created. And this is not here in this world that we know of in the same exact way, because they had their own commandments. They had their own lives. They had their own way of running things. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave them their creation, and this was way before Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam was born or even existed. Rather, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He created Adam alayhi salam after the creation of the jinn. And so the jinn were able to do as they wanted. And they caused a lot of fasad, a lot of evil and destruction. And so Iblis was the one that had, with his free will, he had this closeness to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Despite the jinn being far away from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, many of them disobeyed Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but Iblis was close to Allah. The shaitan was close. So after thousands of years perhaps, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created Adam alayhi salam. Rather, the body of Adam alayhi salam. So Allah took clay from different parts of the earth and created the body of Adam alayhi salam, and the mold was there. And as we know, Iblis was able to go to this mold, to this clay structure of Adam alayhi salam. He was able to see the body. And some narrations mention that Iblis would spend hours studying Adam alayhi salam, the body of Adam alayhi salam. And he became obsessed with this mold of Adam alayhi salam. Now Iblis began to realize that this mold, this creation was very good. This was something amazing. So he would say to Adam, before the soul was even blown into him, he would say, you have been created as something which is very great. Something very great. He would praise Adam alayhi salam. Some narrations would say that he would go through the body of Adam alayhi salam and see him from the inside and out to understand this new creation. Slowly, he started to become jealous and envious of Adam alayhi salam. Now this envy and jealousy took years upon years to accumulate, to grow and to fester. And this shows us that sometimes the concept of hasad and jealousy might start as something small, as a seed in your heart. But if you don't take care of it, it could grow and grow and grow to a huge disease. And with that disease, a great disaster for you and your religion. So he became more envious of Adam alayhi salam, and he wanted Adam alayhi salam to lose this blessing, this favor from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala upon him of being something that is so amazing, something that is so great. And so he had this constant hatred of Adam alayhi salam. He wanted Adam to be debased and destroyed, to cease to exist. He had this hatred throughout, and he wanted anything that was going to be given from Allah to Adam alayhi salam to be discontinued, to cease to exist, because he knew that Adam alayhi salam was better than him. So the jealousy festered, and it continued until Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala finally blew the soul into Adam alayhi salam. And Allah commanded all of the congregation, the jama'ah of the angels, all of them, to bow down, to prostrate to Adam alayhi salam, to fall into sajda. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us that He ordered the angels to fall into sajda, and amongst them was Iblis. Iblis was with the angels. Now of course this sajda, this prostration, was not the prostration of worship, because they worship only Allah. Rather it was the prostration of fulfilling the command. It was a form of respect for Adam alayhi salam. Ibn al-Qayyim rahimahullah said that the worship was to Allah, but the respect that was being paid was to Adam alayhi salam. So what does Allah say? وَإِذْ قُلْنَا لِلْمَلَائِكَةِ اسْجُدُوا لِآدَمَ فَسَجَدُوا إِلَّا إِبْلِيسَ أَبَى وَاسْتَكْبَرَ وَكَانَ مِنَ الْكَافِرِينَ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, and we told the angels, وَإِذْ قُلْنَا لِلْمَلَائِكَةِ اسْجُدُوا لِآدَمَ, prostrate to Adam alayhi salam. So they prostrated, except for Iblis. أَبَى وَاسْتَكْبَرَ, he refused and he became arrogant. وَكَانَ مِنَ الْكَافِرِينَ, and he became of the disbelievers. He committed the act of kufr. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, فَإِذَا سَوَّيْتُهُ وَنَفَخْتُ فِيهِ مِنْ رُوحِي فَقَعُوا لَهُ سَاجِدِينَ. He told the angels, so when I have proportioned Adam alayhi salam and I breathe into him of my created soul for him, meaning the created soul for Adam alayhi salam, then fall down to him in prostration. فَسَجَدَ الْمَلَائِكَةُ كُلُّهُمْ أَجْمَعُونَ إِلَّا إِبْلِيسَ اسْتَكْبَرَ وَكَانَ مِنَ الْكَافِرِينَ. So all of the angels prostrated to Adam alayhi salam entirely, except Iblis. He was arrogant and he became of the disbelievers. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala speaks to Iblis and he asks him, قَالَ مَا مَنَعَكَ أَلَّا تَسْجُدَ إِذْ أَمَرْتُكَ. What stops you from prostrating when I have commanded you? قال أنا خير منه خلقتني من نار وخلقته من طين. He said, I am better than him. You created me from fire and you created him from mud or from clay. Now Adam alayhi salam at this point doesn't know what's happening. Adam alayhi salam is not aware of what's happening. He doesn't know there's this enemy to him. So imagine this, my dear brothers and sisters. All of the malaika, all of the angels fall into sajda. They all fall into prostration. So imagine, the angels are very great in number. We know that they're great in number and they're great in size. And they don't die. And there are so many of them. So there's so many angels. Imagine this gathering where there's a row after row. A row after row, a row after row, a row after row of angels. All of these angels, as far as your eye can see. The angels in their true form are large. As we know, their wings cover the skies. So imagine millions or trillions or who knows how many angels are there in this gathering, and they all bow down. Imagine everything in front of you is bowing down. Row after row as far as your eye can see, subhanAllah, in every direction. But there's one figure that's standing. There's one figure that's standing that did not bow down, and that is Iblis. He stood up and he refused, and that is the moment that he became a kafir, a disbeliever, because of his arrogance, a disease of the heart, and his envy, a disease of the heart. He became of those who rejected the obedience to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So this kufr that he committed was in the highest types of kufr because it was in the presence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now my dear brothers and sisters, It is easy to be patient and a good person when times are good. It's easy to be patient when times are good, to resist. What happens when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tests you and He puts you in a difficulty or a difficult situation? Will you still obey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Perhaps for thousands of years, Iblis was in the obedience of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, one of the best servants with the angels because of his rank. But when the test came and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ordered him to commit, to prostrate to this creation that he felt was better than him because of his jealousy towards him, this became the first major fitna for Iblis. So the scholars say this is the first tribulation that Iblis went through, the first great test. But he failed that test. He failed the test that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had given him by refusing to fall into sajda. So what does this show us? It shows us that no matter how pious you are, no matter how much you do, no matter how much you worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, if you have pride and you have arrogance, when the time comes for you to be tested, you might fail in your test, because at that moment the true self will be revealed. The real you will come out. And that is the reflection that goes from internal to external. Now the scholars of Aqidah, Creed, they also mention that Iblis was the first to give weight to aql over naql, to give weight to using logic and reasoning, his own logic and reasoning, over naql, over that which is commanded by the Creator, that which was revealed by the Creator. So all the deviations that we have in our history, if you look throughout history of Islam, you'll see that people, they started deviating when they started getting deep into philosophy. They started getting deep into logic and reasoning and disregarding the revelation that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had given them. So they started giving preference to their logic over the commandments. And this is what took many people astray. And this happens even in our times. And especially in our times with the rise of atheism. That people try to use their aql, their own logic and reasoning, over what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the one who created this universe, has revealed to you. So someone may perform an act that is a bid'ah, for example, something that is not legislated in the Sharia as an act of worship. And they might use their own logic. They might say, well, you know what I'm doing is something good. What I'm doing is something good. What is wrong with it? It's a good action. And so they think that they're using their own logic, that this justifies the action that they're doing. So this is something, if the Prophet ﷺ never did it, and he was able to do, that you are saying that your logic and reasoning is better than what Allah has revealed, and better what the Prophet ﷺ chose to do as an act of worship. And so they try to justify something that never existed in the Quran or never existed in the Sunnah, and this is something far from what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has revealed. We're going to take a short break, inshallah ta'ala. Stick around and we'll be right back as we continue talking about the origins of shaitan and the traps that he uses against mankind. We'll be right back, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Scale of justice will be brought before man.
Believe it or not, there is no universal definition for the word terrorism. In United Nations, there's a lot of debates, no agreement on how to define terrorism. They have no mercy. They have no feelings. Killing kids, killing an 80-year-old priest in the church. Even the soldier, the enemy that you fight in a legit fight, if he is in a state of safety and security, not expected to be harmed, you're not allowed to harm him. But even other historians and other theologians said, no, Al-Khawarij started even in the Prophet ﷺ time. Hijacking airplanes, destroying urban areas and buildings, public properties, targeting civilians, and all these kind of things that the terrorist group do today. And he said it's absolutely forbidden in Islam.
Justice will be brought before man.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. before we took a short break, we started mentioning the origin story of Shaitan, of Iblis, and how he began with his envy and arrogance to disbelief, and he left this obedience of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now in the verses that we mentioned, in which Allah commanded the angels to prostrate, and Iblis refused, at least three things happened here. So the scholars say the first thing is that Iblis blatantly and bluntly refused to prostrate to Allah, to Adam alayhi salam, in obedience to Allah. The second is that he became arrogant, stakbara. He became arrogant, so the scholars say this is the arrogance that was deeply rooted in his heart. It was there before, and it was accumulating, but at this moment, it finally came out. That is the time that it was manifested. And the third is that Iblis became from the disbelievers. وَكَانَ مِنَ الْكَافِرِينَ. That shows us that someone who blatantly denies or rejects a commandment from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can fall into kufr, can become of al-kafirin. So for example, when you study fiqh, jurisprudence, you see that a person who is lazy about salah, someone who doesn't take care of their 5 prayers, someone who is lazy, is different than a person who says salah is not obligatory upon me. The one who says it's not a commandment or they reject the commandment has become a kafir, without doubt, because salah is a pillar of this deen, and it is the pillar of this deen. So when it comes to rejecting the commandments of Allah, be careful, my brothers and sisters. Beware of falling into the same trap of shaitan. His arrogance, his pride led him astray. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave Iblis a chance to turn back from his mistake. He gave him an opportunity to correct himself. But because of his arrogance, he reiterated his kufr. This is the highest, or was the highest form of kufr to ever be committed, because not only did Iblis disobey Allah, he disobeyed him in his presence. He disobeyed Allah directly. This is the ultimate pinnacle of kufr. And this incident, it's mentioned in 7 different surah of the Quran, 7 different parts of the Quran, in Surah Al-Baqarah, Surah Al-A'raf, Surah Al-Hijr, Al-Isra, Al-Kahf, Taha, and Surah Sad. And you have all of these surah for a reason. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions in all of these places as a form of emphasis. It's one of the most repeated stories in the Quran. The importance of obeying Allah's command without questioning, without trying to use your own logic or your own emotions or reasoning, because you may fall into kufr without even noticing. وَالْعِيَاذُ بِاللَّهِ. So after this happened, the next thing that happened in this incident is that now the shaitan, now Iblis, wants to reveal his plan. What is his plan? It is to take astray all of the progeny of Adam alayhi salam, all of the descendants of Adam alayhi salam. He wants to take everyone astray to the hellfire. So what did he say? قَالَ رَبِّ بِمَا أَغْوَيْتَنِي لَأُزَيِّنَنَّ لَهُمْ فِي الْأَرْضِ وَلَأُغْوِيَنَّهُمْ أَجْمَعِينَ. So Iblis said, my Lord, because you have put me in error, I will surely make disobedience attractive to them. See, these human beings on the earth, and I will mislead all of them astray. I will take everyone astray. This is mentioned in Surah Al-Hijr. Now notice Iblis, he said, because you have put me in error, meaning he's blaming Allah. He's blaming Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for his own ignorance and arrogance and his mistake. So what does he say? قَالَ فَبِمَا أَغْوَيْتَنِي لَأَقْعُدَنَّ لَهُمْ صِرَاطَكَ الْمُسْتَقِيمِ. He said, because you have put me in error, I will surely wait for them, for the believers, on this straight path, the path that leads to Allah. I will try to block them. I'll try to make them go to all the other paths possible. ثُمَّ لَآتِيَنَّهُمْ مِنْ بَيْنِ أَيْدِيهِمْ وَمِنْ خَلْفِهِمْ وَعَنْ أَيْمَانِهِمْ وَعَنْ شَمَائِلِهِمْ وَلَا تَجِدُ أَكْثَرَهُمْ شَاكِرِينَ. SubhanAllah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives us sign after sign, opportunity after opportunity, reminder after reminder, warning after warning. And you have here the example in which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling you, the warning that Allah is giving you, so that you'll be prepared for the traps of shaitan. So you already know that he's coming for you. He's trying to stop you right now in your path to Allah, in any way possible. Any way possible. He will come to you through your weaknesses. He will come to you through your love and your attachment. He will come to you through your desires. He will come to you through your family and friends. He will come to you with everything possible to try to take you away from the straight path. So when a person is swarmed by bees, honeybees, they are surrounded from every direction. And this is what Iblis is doing. The shaitan is telling Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that he will come to us from in front of us, and from behind us, and from the right and from the left. Why does he not mention the top and the bottom? Why does he not mention from above and from below? These are directions which people are capable of anticipating. And he will come to them from where they would basically anticipate him. And Shaitan is saying that he will see him coming, that we will see him coming, and he will still get us to disobey Allah. So basically, Shaitan is saying, I will swarm them, I will come to them from every direction, and I will still get them to disobey you. I will still get them to go astray. وَالْعِيَاذُ بِاللَّهِ. Now, Ibn Abbas, in his tafsir of this ayah, he says, when Iblis says that he will come from the front, it means that he will cause people to doubt the akhirah, that which is coming in the future. And from the back, it means that Shaitan will make our disobedience to Allah look like something beautiful, and to have hope in the dunya, something that is behind us. And Iblis coming from the right means that he'll cause people to have doubt about the religion. And when Iblis says he will come to the left, from the left, it means he will try to make this person be encouraged to indulge in their sins, in their ma'asi. And Allah has warned us again and again. إِنَّ الشَّيْطَانَ لَكُمْ عَدُوٌ فَاتَّخِذُوهُ عَدُوًا. Indeed, Shaitan is an enemy to you, so take him as an enemy. Take him as an actual enemy. إِنَّمَا يَدْعُو حِزْبَهُ لِيَكُونُوا مِنْ أَصْحَابِ السَّعِيرِ. Verily, he invites his followers to be of the people of the hellfire. وَالْعِيَاذُ بِاللَّهِ. Now, after everything, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala creates Hawa from Adam. He creates the wife for Adam alayhi salam. And He tells them that they can live in Jannah. They can live in Jannah, they can eat from whatever they like, except from one tree. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَيَا آدَمُ اسْكُنْ أَنْتَ وَزَوْجُكَ الْجَنَّةَ فَكُلَا مِنْ حَيْثُ شِئْتُمَا وَلَا تَقْرَبَا هَذِهِ الشَّجَرَةَ فَتَكُونَا مِنَ الظَّالِمِينَ. So do whatever you want, you're in paradise, and eat whatever you want. But do not approach this one tree, lest you become from amongst those who are the wrongdoers, from amongst those who are al-dhalimin. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also warns Adam alayhi salam. So He gives him a warning. فَقُلْنَا يَا آدَمُ إِنَّ هَذَا عَدُوٌ لَكَ وَلِزَوْجِكَ فَلَا يُخْرِجَنَّكُمَا مِنَ الْجَنَّةِ فَتَشْقَى. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala warned Adam alayhi salam, indeed, this is an enemy to you and to your wife, so do not let him take you out, remove you from paradise, because you would suffer or cause you to suffer. Because Shaitan wants them to suffer as much as possible. So now, Iblis begins to implement his promise, his plan. And he goes to Adam alayhi salam, and he goes to Hawa, and he starts to whisper to them. The scholars mentioned that this happened over a long period of time. And we don't know how long, but it could be, Allahu A'lam, it could be thousands of years. The same way that when Shaitan comes to you to make you commit a sin, right now you might tell yourself, I'll never do that thing, it's haram, no way. But Shaitan might come to you step after step after step, year after year after year, and he might cause you to fall into the sin. So Iblis worked on Adam and Hawa for many, many years. It was not a quick occurrence. He would come to them and he would whisper again and again. So what would he whisper? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us, فَوَسْوَسَ إِلَيْهِ الشَّيْطَانِ قَالَ يَا آدَمُ هَلْ أَدُلُّكَ عَلَى شَجَرَةِ الْخُلْدِ وَمُلْكٍ لَا يَبْلَى. So he's telling Shaitan, is whispering to him, O Adam, shall I not direct you to the tree of eternity? Shall I tell you about this tree of eternity? شَجَرَةَ الْخُلْدِ وَمُلْكٍ لَا يَبْلَى. Possessions, wealth, a kingdom that will never deteriorate, never go away. One of the tricks of Shaitan is that he glorifies the sayyat, the sins that you have to do, or the sins that you want to do. So he wants you to do the sin regardless, and he wants you to also think it's something good for you. So he tries to make it look beautiful. He tries to make the thing that is prohibited, the haram, look like something that is attractive. And he will even give it a nice name, a nice label, so that you can commit this haram. So now Adam and his wife did not fall into this trap until when? Until Iblis swore by Allah. He swore. So وَقَاسَمَهُمَا إِنِّي لَكُمَا لَمِنَ النَّاصِحِينَ. He swore to them, by Allah, indeed I am to you from amongst those who are the sincere advisors. I'm giving you sincere advice. He swore by Allah. And it was only then, and that's when Adam alayhi salam and his wife ate from the tree and fell into this trap. They fell into this trap, and immediately they sought forgiveness from Allah. But they were no longer allowed to reside in paradise. They were no longer allowed to stay in paradise. Iblis had succeeded in his plan, in his plot. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants us to learn lessons from this story. Allah wants us to learn from the lessons of our forefather Adam alayhi salam. Because this is not a small occurrence. This is something significant. And this is something that changed the history for all of mankind. Because if it did not change history, then we would be in paradise at this moment and we would not be having this conversation. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants us to learn, and He gives us a reminder, and He says, Ya Bani Adam, O progeny of Adam, O children of Adam, لا يفتننكم الشيطان كما أخرج أبويكم من الجنة. Do not let shaitan tempt you. Do not let him tempt you as he removed your parents, Adam alayhi salam, and Hawa, from paradise, stripping them of their clothing to show them their private parts. Indeed, he sees you, him and his followers, him and his tribe, from where you do not see them. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, إِنَّهُ يَرَاكُمْ هُوَ وَقَبِيلُهُ مِنْ حَيْثُ لَا تَرَوْنَهُ. He sees you from places, and they see you from places where you do not see them. You cannot see them. You are not made to see them. إِنَّا جَعَلْنَا الشَّيَاطِينَ أَوْلِيَاءَ لِلَّذِينَ لَا يُؤْمِنُونَ. We have indeed made the devils allies to those who do not believe. They are followers and allies of those who disbelieve in Allah. And so my dear brothers and sisters, know that shaitan is an enemy to you on a daily basis, on a frequent basis. And shaitan will come to you from every direction with his followers. And they will plot and they will plan simultaneously through multiple platforms. And shaitan will wait patiently, if he has to lead you to commit a major sin. He will wait years so that you will commit a sin. And he will wait and wait and wait to corrupt your heart as much as possible over time. If he sees also that you're not doing anything to purify yourself, he will keep attacking you. He will keep trying to pull you away from Allah, to corrupt you. But once you become pure and sincere, absolute sincerity, you'll be protected from these traps of shaitan. And when will he continue, when will he stop trying to take you astray? When will shaitan give up on you? He'll give up? Never. He'll give up after you die, meaning until the moment of death. Shaitan will continue to come after you. But once you die and leave this world, then he's done with you. He's done with you. He cannot do anything to you at this point. He will even come to you at the moment of death. There's a very interesting story of Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal rahimahullah at the moment of death. So as he was dying, his sons came to him and they said, say the shahada, say La ilaha illallah. This is Imam Ahmad rahimahullah. So he started to respond by saying no, no, no. And they did not understand, why was he saying no? He fell into unconsciousness and he regained consciousness. When he woke up again, they said, oh father, we told you to say the shahada. Why did you say no? Why did you keep saying no? He said, when you were telling me to say the shahada, shaitan came to me. And he said, you have beaten me. You have succeeded. You have won. Don't worry about me anymore. Don't worry about the shaitan's traps anymore. You have beaten me. And Imam Ahmad knew that this was a trick and a trap. So he said, no, 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 not until I die. And subhanAllah, even till the last moment of your existence, shaitan will try to come to you and deceive you. Even at the moment of death, he will try to pull you away from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So my dear brothers and sisters, be careful, be careful, be careful with your faith. Protect your shahada, protect your la ilaha illallah. This is only for your benefit and only so you know that shaitan is truly an enemy to you. And we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to protect us from the traps of shaitan. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make us strong in our faith. And we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to allow us to die upon La ilaha illallah. This concludes our episode for today. Join us next time inshallah ta'ala as we continue talking about the traps of shaitan and the different ways he causes us to fall into his traps, and he tries to take people to the hellfire, wal-iyadu billah. So we will see you next time inshallah ta'ala. Jazakumullahu khaira wa sallillahumma ala nabiyyina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Scale of justice will be brought before man. Now you shall have to explain your whole lifespan. What you did in the open and what you concealed. From big to small shall today be revealed. Your deeds